Hey now, how is everybody doing? Welcome to Red Alert Diaries with Tanya E. Hood. I'm Tanya E. Hood, a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, it simply means I've worn a lot of different hats in my life that have helped me develop a full range of strategies and actionable steps that I've used to help my clients make a strategic impact, both personally and professionally, to have better than what life has been given them. Red Alert Diaries is based on the life lessons from my premier book, Red Alert. Is He the One? The Pocket Guide to Finding the Love of Your Life. And if you read my book, you already know that I got married at 21. And after 11 years of marriage, I found myself going through a divorce, having to raise my two sons alone. To reset my life and survive my divorce, I took the time I needed to get to know me better, which opened me up to new love again. So now I'm in a new marriage to the love of my life and my best friend, which just proves there is life after divorce. On this podcast, we have conversations that's real talk, marriage, divorce, money, and legacy. And I want you to join me on the journey. Call 240-532-2227. That's 240-532-2227. I want this podcast to challenge your thoughts and inspire you to grow so together we can operate in excellence. Today, I want to have a conversation with those of you that may be where I once was in my life. I found myself one year where I was struggling to graduate from college. I'd gone through so many different iterations, and I was graduating after several years of stopping and restarting. It had taken me so long to do this because at this point, I had to drag my two babies along with me. And because I took so long to graduate and I was graduating with a technical degree, there were some things I had to finish that year. Otherwise, I was going to be a freshman all over again. So I ended up going to two schools, working two jobs while taking care of my two kids to discover that I was going to have to continue to do that by myself because that year was also the year that I was going through a divorce. That insight about struggling to deal with all of that stuff by myself also caused me to go through physical breakdown. So, on top of my financial devastation, my educational woes, my physical breakdown, I was in a middle relational breakdown as well. If you are walking through elements in your life where one thing seems to be happening right on top of another, I want you to know that you can get through this. There is a way out, there is a way over, even if you can't see it right now. Sometimes you may need to get a perspective outside of yourself in order for that to occur, because that's what I had to do. I had friends of mine that were trying desperately to give me some insight. And you can have friends that are doing the best they can, but still cannot be the support system that you need. Reach outside of that circle to get the help that you need to move into the direction that you desire. Because I had to find help in various places. And one of the places that truly gave me the support that I needed, and that was also the year that I got a different instruction and a different view of how to work through some of these things that I had been exposed to. A lot of you have heard me share my grandmother's statement about the Bible being a basic instruction book before leaving Earth. Now, before all of this chaos that was happening in my world, I had gone to church, did the church thing, did all the different services and support of what you are to do as a good Christian in church. But the Bible didn't mean anything as far as real life was concerned to me because I couldn't figure out how to apply it. I knew that there was something in there that was really good, but when I got the lessons and the insight, it didn't make sense to me how I was going to deal with the chaos from all the crap that was happening at school, the relational breakdown. What was I going to deal with the elements of my divorce? How was I going to figure out and walk through the financial devastation? I didn't see the Bible working me through or helping me with any of those things because I didn't know enough about why it was really written. You see, I discovered that year when I had one trauma right after the next, keep piling on and putting me in a place where I found myself in a fetal position on the bathroom floor of that two-bedroom apartment. When I got up off that floor, realizing that I couldn't keep doing life this way, that there had to be something different. And if God was truly a God bigger than my circumstances, then I need to figure out how to get him included in all of this. That was when I discovered, well, let me say rediscovered, because I've heard the story before that's written in the book of Job, but it didn't make sense to me. But I learned something that day about Job, and I got a different perspective from his life that gave me insight about how to get through the chaos and drama in my life. See, I learned then that the Bible was real. I got a little more assurance from what you all know is my chicken nugget story. When I saw God stand up in the middle of the mess with giving me some support with how to provide food for my kids, I started looking to see how else I can get through the rest of the chaos and the drama that was happening in my life. And I learned that Job went through a financial breakdown as well. He had money. He was living a good life. He was that person that people often went to when they needed to get some support. He was knowledgeable enough to come up with a strategy. He had insight enough to give you some support along the way. And he had enough finances as well to help those around the neighborhood if they needed a loan. He was a great foundational setting in his community. Now, I didn't have the money that Job had going on, but I did have some comfort zones with a two-income household that I no longer was feeling comfortable with. Now I had to figure out how to get through my financial devastation, my relational devastation. And because I was stressing over all of that, I ended up in a position where I had a physical devastation as well, because I ended up in the hospital for a week with the doctors trying to figure out what was going on with me. I had asthma flare up that I hadn't experienced in years. I was going through extra psychosomatic elements in my body that they just could not understand. When I read Job's story that time, I understood the financial devastation that he went through when he was told one right after the other. He had three separate financial instances that took place that gave him the understanding that he was bankrupt. When you are an individual that's used to have a certain financial stance, to be told that you have absolutely nothing in your bank account, I understood that now. That story made a whole lot more sense to me because with that $5 and I think 28 cents, I don't even recall the change, y'all. I knew that it was only $5 and something because you needed $10 to get out the ATM. And I didn't even have that. So when Job got that, that's enough for some people to say, okay, we got to reset. But right after he got that message, he got a relational breakdown as well by being told that all his children had died. Then I'm grateful that I didn't have to go through that element of the story dealing with the death of my babies. But I did go through the relational breakdown of my marriage ending in divorce. I never wanted to be divorced. Divorce was the farthest thing from my mind. Nobody ever really gets married thinking that they are going to go through a divorce. When you get married, it's still all roses and sugar plums. You know, everything about you knows it will last forever. But when I found myself right after having to deal with my educational drama, dealing with the excess stuff that was happening, to know that I was in relational chaos as well, it was a lot to bear. And it didn't stop there for Job or me, because I went through a minor physical thing compared to his physical elements that I was reading in the Bible, where he had boils that rose up on his body. Regardless of what happens, you don't do well when you are not feeling well. A common cold can often take you off your game in a lot of situations. And when I ended up in the hospital, it was clear to me that I did not have the financial, the relational support that I really needed, because I couldn't immediately call my mama to go get my babies. I didn't have anybody that was immediately there to be a support system for me. The next door neighbor, this person that had only moved in a couple of months earlier, was the support system that stood in the gap for me. Now, and I'm grateful. I am so grateful because I needed him at that moment to watch over my children until other things could be made. But I learned in that situation that I had to show up some other stuff. When you are walking through and you have chaos and drama and all of the things that's happening in your world, I want you to know that you can get out of it. But I also want you to know that there are some things that you can learn while you're in it. You see, one of the things that I learned while I was still going through that Wahala was if you have drama, chaos, or whatever that experience is for you occurring in your life, it's not because you did something wrong. There are a lot of people, especially, and this part breaks my heart, in the Christian realm that will make you believe that it's because of some sort of sin in your life that you are going through drama. No, that's not always the case. And for those of you that believe in karma, that you had to have done something bad in your life in order for it to come back now, no, it has nothing to do with karma. There are some moments in your life that God will allow to take place. He will say yes to allowing it to show up because you need to grow your muscles. You see, if you are never in a position where you need to be strengthened, lifting extra weights, getting extra stuff that you got to bear the burden under, you won't learn. You won't learn how strong you already are or how much strength that you still need to get. I learned that year that when chaos shows up, it's because one, you got something you need to learn. Because there were things I needed to learn when I was going through my breakdown and my divorce. I had to discover Tanya. I had to discover elements about me, be sure about who I was from the top of my head to the soles of my feet, because I did not have enough confidence in my natural, logical, analytical mind. I did not have enough assurance in myself about the ability that I had given others. My skill set on how to strategize, my skill set on how to organize and be prepared and operate in excellence. I did not have enough assurance in the excellence that I brought to the table when I was getting paid by others to do that. Sometimes you need to know that what you do on a professional level, you can apply on a personal level. That's why I speak to both elements, both personally and professionally, because you need to be clear what you're bringing to the table. Because sometimes that amazing you that shows up on the job shrinks when you're in your own personal environment. Sometimes that amazing you that shows up personally, that supportive person that everybody goes to, that individual that they know that if they just get to you, things will be okay. If you did that on your job, you could have the promotion that you've been looking for. These are the things that I had to finally gain some understanding about. That first lesson was for me to know some things about myself I had to learn. The second thing I learned that year was I had to grow my muscles. I had to grow my muscles to know that I could handle some things. Sometimes when we go through the chaos and drama of our lives, we get stuck. I want you to know this is not the first time you've gone through something. There has been something in your past that you have already experienced. Now you get the chance to learn how strong you are. And if you aren't certain, by the time you are done with this, you should have some assurance that you are an amazing individual, strong in logic, strong in support, strong in performance. You have the ability to meet the goals that you desire, to reach the places that you are trying to get to. You can, because you've already shown that you can do it before, which means you can do it again. The last part is you may already realize you're strong enough. You may not like going through the drama, but you know you can get through it. You may not like going through the trauma, but you know that you will have a plan and a strategy that you will follow because you may have learned, like I did then, that you may need to take some of the chaos that's swirling around you moment by moment. That was something that I had to learn. Take what's happening in my world moment by moment, because in some things, a minute is way too long. I knew I was strong enough on certain instances after that chaos of my divorce that year where I had to deal with school, I had to deal with that, and the ex, deal with the physical thing, just deal with all of that. Because if you are finding yourself in a fetal position on a bathroom floor and you make it through that, oh, you know, once you come on the other side, that you got some strengths, that you have the skill set, that you can get through some other things that will show up. Now I'm in a position when things show up, I have some clarity. I'm strong enough to carry it. But now it's also the time that I discovered I have carried that burden for some other individuals, which is why I teach, share, and show how to gain more clarity about who you are. And I have the natural ability and the skill set that I have developed that allows me to eliminate conflict quickly. So, if you are an individual that's walking through something similar, I want you to know that you may need to get a different perspective because reading the book of Job gave me that different perspective. Job did not have sin in his life. We get the chance to see, even though I don't recall reading Job ever getting a chance to see the preamble of his book where the devil went to God to get permission. Yeah, for those of you that you don't have to believe in a God I serve, but if you're in the middle of a spiritual battle and the enemy is coming for you, he had to get permission. And if God says yes to the devil coming at you or chaos surrounding you, there is a limit because God gave a limit on what the devil could do to Job. Yes, God let him give Job a financial breakdown, a relational breakdown, a physical breakdown, one right on top of the other. You may be walking through a similar experience because I walked through that as well, but there was a limit. There is always a limit to the chaos. There is always a limit to the pain. There is always a limit. So, no, you will get through it. And so, for today, if you don't remember anything else I've shared, here's the one thing I want you to know. You can get through what you're dealing with, even if it starts tumbling fast forward, because you have a lesson to learn. You're strong enough already so that you can carry the message to someone else, or you just need to strengthen your muscles. If you want someone to join you on the journey, feel free to go to my website, tanyaehood.com. There you can click under the Work With Me tab and see the various ways that we can work with one another. And if you're on Clubhouse, I am no longer going to have the extended discussion there. I've decided that in the new year, I will be sharing this insight on a new platform. I appreciate those of you that have joined me on the journey. The conversation has been rich. The conversation has been enjoyable, but I am learning that there are seasons in our lives where we have to pour into different things. I gave a message last week about containers. I have a new container that I have to start maximizing the use of. So in the new year, we will have an extended discussion on a new platform. More of that to come. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood, walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.